Of course, there's always a stupid software update. Every time I think like, oh yeah, we're good, we'll just go in and play the game. I didn't even know there was a software update. I had no idea when this came out. Huh. Trumu? Is that Trumu? Trumu is releasing blue milk. Oh, it's vanilla flavored? Okay, that's boring. We're actually going to talk about how vanilla is boring in a little bit. That is actually one of our news. That is kind of one of the stories tonight. Kind of. We'll get there. Yeah. Okay. Birthday cake cream pies? Yeah. Yeah, this has like another 5 minutes on it. What a pain in the ass. And then it's Splatfest tonight. Alright, so while we sit here and wait, I guess let's just get started with shit. So, what's the plan tonight? I'll be honest, I have no news stories going into tonight. I was just like, fuck it, whatever. We'll figure it out. So 30 minutes ago, I figured it out. I've got 2 PlayStation stories. I want to talk about that Marvel thing real quick. And then we got WIBE, which I'll be honest, I have nothing for. Because even though I own that Princess Peach game, I did buy it, I have not played it. I literally bought it today, came home, and took a nap. I was so fucking tired. Oh my god. And then God, I had a dream. I'm not gonna describe it, but it left me fucking, I woke up frazzled. Oh god, I was so out of it. Oh my god, I don't even know how to, it was just oh god, it was fucking flashbang. And so yeah, for the next 20 minutes, I just couldn't, it's not that I couldn't think straight, it was just everything was being filtered through that weird dream. And it was weird. It was weird. I know talking about dreams is boring, so we're not going to talk about it. But yeah, so I haven't played the Princess Peach game. I haven't played the new Stardew Valley update. I know there is one, and it's one of those things where it's oh, well, if we play it, I gotta start a brand new world, basically. And I don't want to start a brand new world. I don't. That sounds like such a fucking hassle. I know, and there's still a lot of, I don't even think I've ever been to the night market. That's, because I did a run when it originally came to Switch, and then, one of the first updates after that added, the night market. And I remember, I was oh, I'm gonna go play this new update. I'm gonna go to the night market. And the night market happens near the end of winter, and my playthrough had left off at the very beginning of spring. Like, the very beginning of spring year, like, 3 or 4. I want to say 4. So it's like, oh, I have to wait a whole year to go to the night market. Fuck. Well, I guess I'm not doing that. And I didn't, and I never have. And, like, I don't even know what new stuff they added. I don't know, I've been seeing people freak out on Twitter, or more TikTok, and I haven't even checked it. Yeah, I'm just, oh god, I'm tired. I'm so tired. God, this takes forever. So I was thinking either next week or the week after that. I was thinking about streaming Pokemon. Not us playing a Pokemon, but we're going to do Pokemon Excel spreadsheet. And I'm thinking, like, because the Nintendo Switch servers shut down on, or not Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U servers shut down on the 8th-ish? So that's like the 8th. And, well, I know they've said Pokemon Bank will remain online for the foreseeable future. I was like, with the servers just coming to a shutdown soon, maybe it's time I finally move all my Pokemon up. So that's what I'm thinking about doing, is, hey, let's move all my Pokemon up from Gens 5, 6, 7, and yeah. Do I have stuff from 4? I don't think so. And all my stuff from Gen 5 is in Gen 6. Let's just move all that up. And then I'll just sort everything out, see which Pokemon I'm missing, right? We'll Excel spreadsheet it, because basically I want the living dex. And I know I'm pretty close to having it already, even without previous generations of games. But, it'd be nice to have the previous generations of games, Bring up my shiny... Oh god, what is that Pokemon called? Politoed? Politoed? Whatever it is, I have a shiny one of those from our Let's Play of Gen 5. 10 years ago now, if I had to guess. Palpitoad? Maybe it's Palpitoad. I don't know, whatever the Gen 5 frog is. I have a shiny one of those. And it's one of the oldest Pokemon I have. Because all my Pokemon from Gen 3 and 4 gone to the ether. My first ever shiny Pokemon, a Vileplume, gone forever. No idea, right? It just got lost to time. Because we didn't really care. I don't know. When we were kids, and I had brothers as well, it was like, oh, you want to play a Pokemon? Oh, just restart whichever one, right? Like, we didn't really think about, like, transferring up Pokemon, moving stuff to later generations. I mean, later generations didn't even really exist at the time. Right, that was not something we ever worried about. The first time I, like, consciously thought about it was X and Y back in 2013. I think it was 2013. When I moved my Gen 5 stuff up to Gen... other generation. And, now it's like, I've got all this stuff. We might as well move it up. So I'm thinking about, just doing Excel spreadsheet the stream. Of just sorting through all our boxes. Because I know I have blank spots in there. Because a lot of stuff I have is in Gen 6 and 7. Or 8 and 9. Not 6 and 7. I have full dexes for Gen 6 and 7. But I'm specifically saying 8 and 9. I just gotta move it up. So, go through all that, play some Gen 8 and 9 to find what I'm missing. I'm pretty sure I've got everything that you can't get from previous generations. The monkeys, Patrat, Watchog, and Furfrou. I'm pretty sure I have all those guys. At least I hope I do. Oh, it's going down. Deep Cut, Anarchy Splatcast. So they have changed how Splatfest work now. Because now they, now the team in second place gets points as well. Because, you know, I mean, Frey hasn't won a Splatfest in a year. At least an American one. As far as I'm concerned, the triple Splatfest experiment has failed. Right? In the same way we can talk about how the American democracy has failed, because it doesn't allow third parties. It seems like Splatfest kind of work the same way. They don't allow for third parties. And Frey has just been our third party. It's really cool to see them again. I've missed them. My favorite idols. I think they got a new song today. Off the Hook in Deep Cut Team Up. That sounds fun. You know, I didn't listen to it, but I guess so. I guess it's more fuel on the fire of them being in lesbians together, which is cute. So yeah. Alright, let me pull up my teraflops list. Give me a second. Teraflops. Where are my teraflops? There we go. So yeah, maybe a Pokemon stream coming up. So our first news story of the night. So this comes from The Verge. And there's rumors of a PS5 Pro. This has kind of been rumored for a while now. And it just kind of, this seems like the year of upgrades. At least that's what it felt like. Because, you know, there was that rumor about the all-digital Xbox Series X that had a, it was all digital, so it had no disk drive, and how, at least at one point, Microsoft was pushing an all-digital future, and they kind of, you know, they kind of talked about it in that podcast, that, you know, where they talked about Xbox going third-party a while ago. So there's clearly something there, but I don't know. We might get an Xbox Series X Pro this year. We might not. They might call it something other than an Xbox Series X Pro, obviously, because I think Xbox Series X Pro is a dumb name. But we'll see. But no, so PS5 Pro, right, there were rumors were abound about a PS5 Pro this week. Again, the story I'm citing is The Verge, but I know they weren't the only one to report on it, as several people backed them up. I have no idea how these fizzbings work. Okay, at least I threw some of them. Okay, they just seem to be generic bombs. So, the thing is, so according to the rumors, it's a lot of techno jargon. I'll be honest, reading through this, it was like, okay, I don't know what any of this means. So I've tried to pick out at least 3 things that I was like, okay, this is a thing that I've heard. So the first one is that the GPU is supposed to be 3 times faster. So an increased GPU, you know, it's what people want. It's what people would expect from a Pro. There's now 67 teraflops. What the actual fuck is a teraflop? How does it work? How is it used? No idea. They just said 67 teraflops, and I'm gonna be like, okay, let's pretend that makes sense for a second. Sure. Sure, 67 teraflops. Why not? That makes sense. But what that effectively translates to, per my understanding, is it means that 45% improvement on performance rendering. So, you know, the performance rendering is faster now due to that 67 teraflops. It will, much like how the recent re-release of the PS5 had, right, the PS5 Slim, as they called it, had a detachable disk drive. It looks like the Pro's going to do much of the same thing, where it's going to have a detachable disk drive that you can, you know, if you buy the system, and then if you want the detachable disk drive, you can get that. Which, again, more and more, we see these companies shifting towards an all-digital future. And I'll be honest, buying physical games fucking sucks. I went to buy the Princess Peach game from Best Buy this morning. Well, not this morning, after I got off work. I went to buy it at Best Buy, and it was a fucking nightmare. Because, you know, they no longer have physical games on display. Their physical section's, like, mostly empty. And instead I had to go talk to an employee. And the employee was like, oh, well, we'll check in the back. And then sure enough, they had one. Nightmare. Honestly, but these companies clearly want physical media to go away. Because they don't care about, right? They can make more money off of digital media, and they have more control over the media. Because these companies don't care about preservation of art. They don't see video games as art. They don't see movies as art, right? These are just things to make money off of. Who gives a fuck if people remember them, right? Who cares about preservation? And, right, it's a lot easier to not preserve things when they're, right, when they're all digital. Then, hey, you can just have complete control over them. Sadly, this is nothing new, and right, it's the right. I mentioned the 3DS and the Wii U shutting down their online servers. Right, it's nothing new. This is sadly nothing new, and it's gonna keep happening. And yeah, these companies don't care, and of course, the government won't step anything to do anything about preservation of art because they don't care either. God, I drank through that fast. So, the other thing about the PS5 Pro is it has the same CPU as the base PS5. But they're giving the system, like, some sort of boost mode. And the boost mode is, like, hopes to get the console up, like, 10% faster. But, you know, it comes at a cost. So, right, you're gonna have, right, it'll get the console faster. But you have to sacrifice something in return. And, you know, for some people, that's a sacrifice that's going to be worth it. For others, not so much. And then, of course, the release date period is the holiday season, right? They're looking at the holiday later this year. I will be 1000% honest, this is not something I'm going to buy. I have a PS5. My PS5 runs fine. Right? Like, I've had no real major problems with it or anything. And I don't think there's anything that they're going to do here that's going to, like, completely change my mind on it. Like, oh, I need the PS5. Because even, like, when I bought a PS4, I had the choice between buying a normal PS4 and a PS4 Pro. I just bought the normal PS4, right? The PS4 Pro was not, like, such a significant change that it felt like something I needed to buy. So, yeah, a PS5 Pro does even less for me. Again, this thing has no fucking games on it. Admittedly, I would rather use my PS5 over my Xbox. Which, you know, it's funny, because I talk about, like, oh, how Xbox is trying to be an all-digital console. But that is literally how I treat my Xbox Series X. Right? I only have, like, 2 games on it. Maybe 3. And they're all digital, and, right, they're digital only. I don't have any physical games for it. No, that's actually a lie. I have 2. I have Fallout 76, and I have Redfall. Which, yes, I did buy as a joke. I almost bought Halo as a joke as well. Halo Infinite. I don't know how we stayed alive that long in that. But yeah, I have no interest in buying this thing. You know, I'm sure somebody's going to get a kick out of it. Ain't gonna be me. This ain't a me sort of thing. Like I said, I barely use the Xbox. I don't use the PlayStation as much as I should. Like, there's only... Mainly because I care about PlayStation. I like PlayStation exclusives. And there's just nothing about PlayStation exclusives that, like, really... There's, like, been nothing recently where I'm like, oh, yeah, I need that PlayStation exclusive. There was one game I was hearing about. I was listening to a podcast. Podquisition, let's be real. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It was Podquisition. And they were talking about Pacific Drive, which is a game I have never heard of. At least I don't remember hearing about it. And they were talking about this Pacific Drive game and how good it is. And I was like, I don't think I've ever heard of this before. But now I kind of want to play it. It reminds me of... I've recently been addicted to... I don't remember who the creator is. But I've been watching a Raft series. You know that survival game Raft? Where, you know, you're building the raft, going to the different islands, trying to find the last of humanity. I've been watching a series on that. And because I think I have that game. And I have not been replaying it. Like, I have it on Steam, but I'm like... I don't really have the time. But now I'm seeing this, like, Pacific Drive, and it's kind of like, oh, maybe that'll fill my survival crafting game itch. Because instead, it's all about your car, right? You're making the Pacific Drive through this, like... It reminds... Based on their descriptions, it reminds me of the zone from Annihilation. And it sounds really interesting. And it's on PS5, $30. I honestly might. I'm definitely thinking about it. Because I've heard good things. But yeah, that's like, and that's on PS5. So that's like, oh, maybe I'll have to actually use my PS5 again for the first time in a while. For the first time since Spider-Man. Nah, that's not exactly true. Stupid Suicide Squad, but let's not talk about that. So yeah. But yeah, PS5 Pro. Okay, sure. You know, I guess it's nice for at least 1 week to not have a Switch 2 rumor. I feel like for the last 11 weeks, we've just been doing Switch 2 rumors. So it's nice here in week 12. God, did I remember to name this week 12? Whatever. Right. It's nice for at least once to be like, nope, let's talk about PlayStation and not Nintendo Switch. We'll talk more about Nintendo Switch 2 next week. Because they always come back. Find out how many teraflops that thing doesn't have. So next up, we got sticking on the PlayStation train, we got a short story about PSVR. And I guess they have, according to rumors, they have paused PSVR production. Mainly to clear a backlog. So the reporting comes from Bloomberg. Where, yeah, I guess there's a big backlog of unsold PSVR 2 units that they just need to get rid of. And so they're pausing productions of new ones until they've cleared this backlog. And I'll be honest, I completely get it. I totally get where this backlog is coming from. Because the PSVR 2, well, it is, like, I've used the system. it works well. You know, I like it a lot. It's definitely got a lot more functionality than the the original PSVR. I like the motion trackers in it a lot more, stuff like that. But it's very expensive. It's like it's basic. I want to say it's like $500. That buying a PSVR 2 is the same price as buying just a PS5. That's so fucking expensive. So I totally get, and the fact that you need a PlayStation 5 to use it as well. Like, because, you know, you can buy an Oculus for less money, and that doesn't need a system to support it. So I totally understand how we got into this scenario, where, right, there's just not enough. There's no big PSVR 2 title. Like, at least the, oh, what's that called? The HTC Vive had Horizon on it, or not Horizon, had Half-Life Alyx on it, and like that was that thing was also very expensive. But that thing had that game, which was like a system seller. I feel like there's nothing here that's really a system seller. I mean, Call of the Mountain looks good. You know, I've heard decent things about it, but not anything as good as I heard about Half-Life Alyx. And, you know, I had a decent time playing the new Five Nights at Freddy's and Among Us VR, but yeah, nothing big. So yeah, of course, part of their solution, I'm betting they're betting on, is PC support. Right, we had a story a few weeks ago that said they were bringing PC support to the PSVR 2 for, you know, select games. Hopefully Half-Life Alyx is one of them. But I do also wonder if they're going to start putting this thing on discount as well. Because that's why I bought an original PSVR. Is because they put it on such a steep discount where I was like, yeah, you know what, this is worth buying. Of course, another, you know, one of the things that does suck about the PSVR 2 is that it has no backwards compatibility. So, like, if I were to actually, you know, go and buy one instead of just, you know, go over to a friend's house and use one, it'd be like, oh, well, you know, all the games I already own, I can't play. Because, right, they're all, like, I still have not played Astrobot's Playroom. Is it? No, Astrobot's Rescue Mission. Excuse me. Rescue Mission. I still have not played that game on the original PSVR, and it'd be like, oh, you know, it'd be really nice to do that on PSVR 2, but it's not compatible with PSVR 2. I hope, is it Studio Soba? Is that the studio that does Astrobot? I hope they're working on another one. Those games are so much fun. Between, you know, between some of the other stuff I've seen them do. Specifically, I'm talking about Playroom. Playroom was so much fun. And that one game that came with the PS5. The one game that came with the PS5. The one game that came with the PSVR. Those were really fun games. And I really do need to play Astrobot's Rescue Mission. Because the demo on it was very fun. I don't know. I'll need to get around to it. But that's not on PSVR 2. How we did not get killed immediately there, because they were like right behind us. So our next story, so I think GDC is going on right now. Something's going, but basically Epic did a big event recently. And then, you know, they talked about how they were bringing the Epic Game Store back to iOS and Android. They talked about a few other things. I guess Fall Guys is coming to Fortnite, which, I'll be honest, that might mark the death. I know they said in the announcement that no, they're not killing Fall Guys. I think they might be killing Fall Guys. Just being perfectly honest here, based on everything, it kind of sounds like they're going to be killing Fall Guys soon. And just importing all the Fall... Basically, I would not be surprised if they work in all the Fall Guys stuff into Fortnite, and then there's just a Fall Guys mode in Fortnite, right, where you can use all your beans and whatnot. That would sadly not surprise me, because that kind of seems where they're going with that. Which, in some ways, you know, that kind of sucks. But, you know, it might be what they end up doing. Because, I mean, I haven't played Fall Guys in like a year. I don't know. The last time we streamed Fall Guys was the last time I played Fall Guys. So it's definitely been a while. But even, in some ways I do kind of miss it. Alright, there's another 10x battle one. That's 2 in a night. That's not bad for me. We've seen more 10x battles tonight than the past, like, 3 Splatfests combined. I know 2 is not a very large number, but normally we see 0 to 1. Okay, so the actual story that came out of all this epic stuff is the new Marvel game, right? Marvel is doing a game, Marvel 1943, The Rise of Hydra. I'll be honest, with a name like that, I was like, based on the name, I was like, I don't really care about this. But it's seeing the trailer, seeing some of the character stuff, I'm more interested in it. We didn't really get any gameplay. This is all more Unreal. Like, in some ways, this game feels like just a showcase of the Unreal Engine 5. And it looks very nice. There are some shots where it's like, yeah, you know, this could have been human. Like, this could have just been, like, real footage of real people. I could see someone saying that. So it looks very nice. And so it's right, it's 1943, you're in Paris, and, you know, there are 4 playable characters. So, right, you've got Captain America and one of the Howling Commandos. And you're in Paris, you know, something Rise of Hydra. Meanwhile, the other playable character is Black Panther. Not T'Challa, but his grandfather. And he's in Paris for some reason, and he's there with a Wakandan spy who's, you know, spying in, you know, on the Hydra, on the Nazis, something war. It seems interesting. It seems, you know, like specifically, I think the Black Panther stuff is what makes this interesting. If this had just been a Captain America World War II game, I'd be like, whatever. Right? It's just, oh, woo, another war shooter. Even though it's not a shooter. But no, Black Panther generally makes it interesting because, you know, it's fucking Black Panther. And them and Captain America and Black Panther being on opposite sides, like, of course they're going to start off as adversaries, but eventually become friends who learn and respect each other or some shit like that. Like, we know exactly what to expect from the plot, right? Like, that... I think on that front, I know exactly what to expect. They mention in the trailer that they're looking for... Right, there's 3 super soldiers. That's 2 too many. I'm assuming the third one he's referring to is Red Skull. Ooh, nice. But no, I don't know. I do want to see gameplay, because there was none of that. Right, this trailer was very story-focused, very cinematic, so we didn't really get any gameplay in, like, the traditional sense. But I hope we do, you know. I don't think this game comes out until next year, so it's still a while away, so we probably have to wait a while. But I think it's more interesting than not. I definitely feel like this thing has potential. Right, the producer on it, the producer/writer was Amy Hennig, who worked on the Uncharted series. So that's, you know, that's a good resume to start off with, right? That gives it potential. Because that definitely is something it kind of reminds me of. is one of the Uncharted games, like, when it comes to, like, being, like, a cinematic gameplay experience. I definitely do see that influence. So that's, you know, that's good. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see until more of that comes out. But so far, you know, out of all the Marvel games, it's definitely more interesting than, like, another fucking Marvel's Avengers. I'll say that. So I guess that takes us into WIBE. And I'll be honest, what have I been enjoying? Nothing. Boom, boom, boom. No, like, seriously, I don't think I've played a videos game this week. I mean, I might have played a little Splatoon, but who fucking cares? Woo, I played some Splatoon. That's a flash in the past. Oh, no, actually, that is a lie. I did play one thing. Ooh, shit. I did actually play one thing, but we'll get to that in a second. So, let's start off with food stuff. So, what food stuffs have I been doing? So Wendy's put out an orange Dreamsicle Frosty. Sounded interesting, you know? So, I mentioned at the top of the show how vanilla is seen as boring. And so, the reason I bring that up is because there's been a recent thing. It's like a Tumblr post or something like that. Maybe it's a Twitter post. Talking about how vanilla's not boring. That vanilla is literally worth its weight in gold. And we treat it as, like, the boring, generic option. When actually vanilla's, like, really interesting and really complex. But we just see it as boring. And, like, technically that post is correct, right? Vanilla is actually a complex flavor that is very useful and pretty good, but it is also it does kind of feel boring. I will say vanilla has its place. Like, I feel like some people just write, because vanilla is kind of generic and overused, for lack of a better word, people just write it off completely. But I felt like vanilla has its place. One of those places, though, is not a Wendy's Frosty. Wendy's for years has always had two Frosties. Vanilla and chocolate. That was how it was for years. Those were the two flavors of Wendy's Frosty. And I never knew anybody who got a... Okay, that's actually a lie. My grandmother got a vanilla Frosty. That's it. That's the only person I know who has ever gotten a vanilla Frosty. Everyone else always gets chocolate. Because the chocolate Wendy's Frosty is the better Frosty. No questions asked. So in recent years, Wendy's has started replacing their vanilla Frosty with other flavors. Originally the big breakthrough was strawberry. They did strawberry. I want to say they did like a caramel or something like that. That sounds right in my head. They did like a caramel. They did... I want to say they did like a... Did they do like a mint or a... Maybe not a gingerbread. I don't know. They did some sort of other flavor as well. That was like a festive... I think they did a mint. I think they did like a Christmas mint flavor. And that was like, oh, okay, you know, that makes sense. You know, 'tis the season of tidings and all that. But, you know, a few months back, they brought back, after I think the Christmas season, they brought back vanilla. But then they announced, hey, we're doing orange Dreamsicle. And I do like myself a good Dreamsicle. Specifically, if you... So, you know those places that have, like, those Coke machines? That have, like, oh, it's 500 different flavors. Right? It's got all these different sodas and 500 different flavors. That I don't know if they actually have anymore. Like, I'll be honest, all the restaurants that I knew that had those don't have them anymore, specifically Wendy's being one of them. Right, my local Wendy's used to have one of those, and now they don't anymore. But you know, it had those, and well, one of the things that I would always get in those is you could get like a Fanta orange that was Dreamsicle flavored. Or you could get like you could get Fanta orange and mix it with vanilla Sprite to make like a Dreamsicle soda. And it was actually pretty good. I actually really liked it. But I do want to say there was also just a Dreamsicle Fanta orange. So when you say Dreamsicle Frosty, I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. So I went and got one, and yeah, it was fine. I'll be honest. So I was thinking of Mountain Dew released 2 new flavors this week, and I've been looking for them, and I can't find them. But, because they brought back the Punch. Right, the Baja Punch, and I really do like that. I stand by. That is not the best Mountain Dew flavor, but it's my personal favorite. But, so, when I think Mountain Dew, I think, okay, Mountain Dew released with the original Mountain Dew, which is our Vanilla Frosty. And then they came out with Baja Blast, which is our Chocolate Frosty. It's just better in every... Right, it took the original and just did it better in every way. That's how I feel about Mountain Dew, and that's how I feel about Frosties, right? Vanilla is just like, oh, okay, it's the original generic ice cream, whatever. And then chocolate was just an improvement in every way. And it's like, why go back? And that's kind of this orange creamsicle. Like, it's good. It's just... You just can't improve on the original Frosty. It's just too fucking good. At least in my opinion. You know, if you don't like a Frosty, I totally get that. I totally do. But yeah, I like, you know, I like them. And yes, I am one of those Frosty Fry people. Fucking sue me. People get so fucking butthurt over that, and I don't get it. It's one of the, I just don't get why people get so mad about that. Like pineapple on pizza. Like, this really isn't a hill worth dying on here. Oh, shit. Yeah, this isn't a hill worth dying on. The fucking Frosty Fry thing is not a hill worth dying on. But no, definitely I would not do a creamsicle Frosty with fries. That, I feel like it only works with the vanilla or the chocolate. And nobody gets the vanilla, so... Yeah. But no, I thought it was fine, you know, it's got a good orange flavor, but it has that sort of lightness that you'd expect from a creamsicle. For what it is, it's not bad. I definitely feel like there are worse flavors of Frosty out there. Or they have done worse. Again, I think they did like a caramel or something one time. And I just was not impressed with that, like, at all. So, yeah. Yeah, would I recommend, you know, if you already like Wendy's, or if you like creamsicles, yeah, I think you'll have a good time with it. Other than that, I don't know if I'd actually, like, recommend it. Right? It's not going to change anybody's mind on Frosties. Alright, unlike that pizza that I got from KFC a few weeks ago, where I was like, you know, this actually has a chance of changing your mind on KFC. At least the one that I had. I may have gotten that lucky 1 in 30, but legitimately it might have changed my mind on KFC. Probably won't last forever. Probably as soon as that cheese is gone, I'll go back to hating them. But at least for that 1 week, I liked them. So that's the only food thing I've got. You know, who cares? We'll have more stuff next week, of course. There's always something new and stupid to try. Oh, you know what I did actually try? I tried... So there's been this whole dirty soda trend. I don't know if you've seen it, but, right, there's this big thing, dirty soda. It's like the future or whatever. It's technically the past. It's like a 1950s thing, but it's become popular recently, and Sonic pushed into it. And so earlier, I think I meant to talk about this last week and just didn't. I tried the dirty soda from Sonic. Um, so I tried both the two they recommend are the Dr. Pepper and the Fanta. And I tried both of them. The Dr. Pepper, I was not impressed with. I did not care for the Dr. Pepper. I didn't feel like the Dr. Pepper added much. It really just kind of muddied it down a little bit. I will admit, this might change things. I do not get sodas with ice. I'm not a big ice guy. I think sodas, when they come out of the machine, are naturally cold enough. And if I do want, especially if I'm taking stuff home, like at Sonic, if I want ice, I'll just add ice at home. Like, why pay, right? Buying ice gives you less drink for the same price. Where if you get no ice, that's more drink. It's economics, people. And especially there are certain places that just fucking fill their drinks to the brim with ice. Oh my gosh. What was the one I went to? It might have been when I went to Wendy's. I got like a lemonade, just packed to the the entire cup was filled with ice, and it was just like, this is way too much. But I tried the Dr. Pepper I got without ice. But the other person who got the Fanta got it with ice. And the ice might make a difference, honestly. Running the lime and the coconut and the cream through ice might actually make it taste better. Either that or... because the Fanta was better. I'll just tell you straight up, if you're going to try it, I'd recommend the Fanta over the Dr. Pepper, because the Fanta just tasted better. Again, I am partial to an orange. I do like a good orange soda. But I definitely did get the feeling that the Fanta tasted a lot better. I don't know. It's specific. I'll say it's not something I think is really that great. It's not something I'll go back for. But I could see this being like not an acquired taste. Well, maybe an acquired taste. But right, if you like coconut, I think that's the big divider for me. I don't hate coconut. I'm not allergic to coconut. But I'm not a huge coconut guy. Like, I don't really drink coconut rum or anything. So that might be the big split for me, is because I'm not a big coconut guy. This doesn't do much for me. But if you like coconut, I could see this being huge. So yeah, I was not too impressed with it overall. So yeah, so boom, I did have another food thing. So on to game, I say I didn't see any movies. I was going to go see the new Ghostbusters yesterday, and I was just busy. Something came up, and I was like, oh shit, well I guess I just don't have time for this. But by next week, I will have seen the new Ghostbusters. I will also have seen the new Godzilla and Kong. Ghostbusters, I'm kind of like, whatever. I suppose I actually got a kill with that Fizzbang. Ghostbusters, I'm like, yeah, I liked the last one. Ghostbusters Afterlife is a good movie. I enjoyed it. And I'm hopeful for this one. I kind of wish they didn't bring back the old cast. Like, the previous movie was a tribute to Harold Ramis in the previous Ghostbusters. But it also very clearly established a new cast, Egon's kids, Paul Rudd, and now this new one's introducing Kumail Nanjiani into it. I think it's Kumail Nanjiani. So, right, like, I don't feel like we need the old cast. Outside of, like, a quick cameo specifically from Janine, and maybe Rick Moranis as, like, a post-credit scene, I don't really feel like I need the old cast. But no, it looks like they're bringing back the new in the old cast, and it's like, nah, we didn't need that. That's not something that we really needed, if I'm being just honest here. But I'll still go see it, Ghostbusters kind of has the Star Wars problem, where I feel like 50%... Indiana Jones also has the same problem. Where I feel like 50% of the movies are bad. Right? 50% of Star Wars movies are bad. 50% of Indiana Jones movies are bad. 50% of Ghostbusters movies are bad. And then anything that's not bad is, good. They always start off with something good. Then you get something bad. Well, okay, not Star Wars. Well, I guess if you're counting them by trilogies, then you get something bad, then you get something mediocre, right? Okay, it's definitely more complicated than that. But right, like the 20, what was it? The all-female Ghostbusters was not bad. It was just kind of mediocre. That was its biggest sin, was that it was just kind of mediocre. And I feel like I would not be surprised if this one falls into the same wheelhouse of it's not bad, it's just kind of mediocre. I don't know, critics have been lambasting it, but critics lambasted the previous one, and I thought the previous one was actually pretty good. Not like amazing, but, you know, I thought it was good. I liked it more than, you know, Indiana Jones 5 or Star Wars Episode 9. So yeah, but we'll talk more about that next week. And then Godzilla, I expect to be garbage, but I expect it to be lovable garbage. So I'm excited for it. Because I firmly believe that we can have both serious drama Godzilla -1 and schlocky action comedy Godzilla versus Kong, or Godzilla and Kong New Empire. Both those movies can exist at the same time. So, you know, I just want it to be fun. I don't need it, right, kind of like the Fast and the Furious movies. I don't need some sort of high art revolution on the genre. I just need it to be a fun, goofy monster movie. Big monster, not big monster movie. You know, I just need the ultimate showdown. That's all I ask for. Give me the ultimate showdown of Ultimate Destiny. Good guys, bad guys, and explosions as far as the eye can see. Because only one will survive. I wonder who it'll be. Because it's the ultimate showdown of Ultimate Destiny. That's all I ask for. And that's what I'm hopeful we'll get. But we'll see. If it's not that, because I liked Godzilla vs. Kong. I did. I do enjoy that movie a lot. It's schlocky, it's goofy, but goddamn is it fun. And I really do hope that they've learned their lessons from the previous ones, and we're getting more monster and less human. Because, like, fuck, I know they brought the conspiracy theorist guy back, who, he's totally just a fucking QAnon guy, and I do not like him. I want to say his name was Bernie, but, like, I don't care about the humans. Well, okay, I do like the little girl. The little girl who can speak to Kong is like the one good human character in all of these movies. Because I do not like Millie Bobby Brown. Definitely fucking hated the mom in the second one. I did also like Bryan Cranston, but to be fair, they killed him. I actually feel like most of the characters... I actually feel like most of the characters in the 2014 movie did fine. Fucking Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen. They did fine, but it's just... less human stuff, more monster stuff. And I think they've learned their not that they've learned their lesson, it's more that the studio is more willing to let them do stuff like that. Because Kong is expressive enough to be a fully fledged character. I do feel like we have learned that, right? That they've gotten to the point where they can make Kong a fully expressive character. And Godzilla's always been pretty expressive as long as you know what you're doing with him. But we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so the actual game I played, I booted up Mini Motorways. So I've said Mini Metro for the longest time was one of my favorite games of all time. Loved that game to death. Picked it up on Steam years ago, and then I have it on Android. And it was one of my favorite games for the longest time. And then its sequel came out, and I actually like its sequel, Mini Motorways, even more. I would put Mini Motorways as my favorite puzzle game of all time. Sure, it's not as complicated as something like Infinifactory or one of like your Talos Principles or something like that. But for me, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's everything I want in a puzzle game. Is it the best puzzle game? No. Again, probably Infinifactory. But is it my favorite? Yes. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want to play. It's been a while. It's been a few months since I've played it. Let's see what they've added. And I guess Mini Metro, the original game, turned 10 years old. So they did a crossover. Oh, this was a while ago. I'm only finding out about it now. But they did a crossover with Mini Metro. And they added some Mini Metro stages to Mini Motorways. That now there's like a train that you have to cross with your cars. And whenever the train arrives at certain locations, it like drops off passengers. So you have to like work around that. And, you know, it's honestly not that bad. I don't know. I got some pretty good runs because there's 3 new maps. Plus they also added, I think, Reykjavik, Iceland as well since the last time I played. But I'm in like the top like 10% of players in the world, which isn't like on the daily challenges. That can, depending on when I play the daily challenges, that could be anywhere from like 20th place to like 200th. But I'm pretty decent at the game. And I had some really good runs. I also had some really terrible runs. I think Reykjavik went awful the first time I played it. I just did not have a good time on Reykjavik. So, yeah. But, you know, I like the new maps. I like the new train mechanics. Right? I think that adds some fresh elements to the game. The daily challenges are still fun. The game, you know, it can be a pain in the ass sometimes, but it's still really good. And yeah. I don't know. I played it a few times very early in the week. I played it a bunch. And I was just like, oh, you know, let's sit down, listen to a podcast, and play some. And so that's exactly what I did, and guess what? I had a good time. Speaking of podcasts, I've talked before about how I've been very behind on Podquisition. How I've been listening to Podquisition, I've just been very behind. Like 3 months, I think. Like, I was listening to, like, December episodes, right, just like a week ago. I'm finally almost caught up. I think the most recent episode is, like, 80-something, and I'm at, like, if it's... I'm gonna guess it's, like, 83, and I'm at, like, 81. So I'm not fully caught up, but God, it's so nice to actually be caught up into a podcast. Because I do want to talk about this. So Google Podcast is shutting down. Google had a podcast service. I thought it worked fine. You know, I've had no problems with Google Podcast. I thought it worked fine. But for the past year or so, Google has kind of been trying to implement podcasts onto YouTube, and specifically YouTube Music. And so they announced, back in like January, they announced that Google Podcast was shutting down. And, you know, you could export all your podcasts onto YouTube Music. So back in like, January, I was like, oh, you know what? Okay, I'll do that. I'll export all my podcasts over to YouTube Music. And so for the past, like, since then, you know, up until like a week ago, I was using YouTube Music for my podcasts. And YouTube Music fucking sucks. I'll be honest, like, I don't have Spoofy. I don't have YouTube Music. I definitely don't have Apple Music. Right? I don't really, like, I listen to you, like, if I want to listen to a song, I'll just look it up on YouTube. I don't feel like I need YouTube Music, right? And I'm not, even though I do like music, right? I'm not a music guy. Like, on my drive to work every morning, I don't listen to music. I listen to fucking NPR or, you know, some other news program. I listen to fucking, you know, podcasts, audiobooks. I'm actually not, like, a huge music guy. So, I tried using YouTube Music, and it sucks. My immediate problem I had with it was that, let's say so I'm transferring over all my podcasts. First of all, they were struggling to transfer over. Like, some of them were not showing up in my library. Just accessing it's not like they didn't, like, create, like, a separate tab that's like, oh, you know, here's the music tab, here's the podcast tab, something, something, something. No, it's all done under one tab, and you have to go under specific categories, and, like, you can't just have, like, when you look up podcasts, it'll only show you, like, your 10 most recently listened to podcasts, and for any more, you have to, like, dig a little deeper and, like, go down another menu level, and it's like, what a pain in the ass. Like, they made this thing so inconvenient, and that just kind of sucks. So that was my immediate, right, just booting up the app. That was the problem I had. Eventually, that got fixed, even though not all my podcasts carried over. I was looking at it, Cerebrocast, which is the X-Men podcast. I was looking at it today, and I was like, oh, hey, I should, check out Cerebro podcast again. Cerebrocast. Didn't fucking transfer over for some reason. No idea why it didn't. But yeah, Cerebrocast didn't transfer over. And I'm sure there's other shit as well that didn't transfer over that I just haven't noticed. But that was the first one where I was like, why isn't this on my list now? So eventually, right, I tried using YouTube Music. My second big problem was that you can't mark a podcast as like, hey, I've already listened to this podcast, mark it as played. Nope. You can do that on Google Podcast. You cannot do that on YouTube Music. I can't, it's like, oh, well, I've listened to every podcast, right, Podquisition, right, I listened to episode, right, every episode from 0 all the way up to like 465. Will you let me mark all the ones I've already listened to as played? No, they will not. Right? They wouldn't let me do that. And that fucking sucks. Plus, there's like no way, it's like, oh, if you listen to a podcast, but maybe don't listen to like the last like 5 minutes of it, because it's like credits, or, stuff like that. Alright, stuff you don't care about, you can't like mark it as like, yep, I've listened to this whole thing, even though you've technically haven't listened to the last like 5 minutes. You have to listen to the whole fucking thing. At least once, it forgot where I was in the podcast. I was like 30 minutes in, and it basically forgot where I was, and I had to restart the thing all over again. It marked a podcast that I had already listened to, or that I hadn't listened to, that like I started it, listened to like the first like 2 or 3 minutes, then had like something else to do, got like interrupted, and then when I came back to it later, it had marked it as like fully played. So I have had plenty of problems with YouTube Music. The service sucks. Like, I've actually listening to the audio, I've had no problems there. Like, it hasn't lagged or buffered. It's just kind of annoying, right? It's all these little things that most other podcasts, apps, especially Google Podcasts, had these features that they just didn't bring over to YouTube Music. Like, I guess it updated recently, and they added, like, some new feature that's, like, I think they added, like, trim silence, which is, like, a standard feature in every other podcast app. And it just wasn't on YouTube Music. So, after trying to use it for the past, like, 2 months, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done. Hey, Reddit, suggest a new podcast app to me. So, they suggested Pocket Casts. And I've been using that, and it is so much better. Oh, my gosh. All those features I just mentioned Google Podcast doesn't have, yep, this one has. I was able to import all of my podcasts from Google Podcast over there. I did have to clear all the podcasts I had already listened to, but luckily there's just a feature where it can be like, hey, I select this one, and you can mark everyone below it. So that way you can clear them all out in one go. It does a weird thing where it, like, archives podcasts you've already listened to. So, like, if you, like, scroll down in a podcast, it just won't show any of the ones you've already listened to. Which, I'm like, on one hand, it's like, okay, that's actually kind of nice, because it allows you to keep things more organized. But on the other hand, I like having, like, the big list, I guess. But you can always hit the show archive button. So it's like, it's not actually that big of a deal. But yeah, I was really like, oh god, Google Podcasts. In one hand, I'm gonna miss it, because it's just the service I've been using for years now. I've been using Google Podcasts for like, not since the service launched, obviously. I don't remember what I listened to podcasts on before Google Podcast. Like, I don't remember where. Like, well, I know when I was big into Rooster Teeth podcasts, it was just listening to them on the site. I remember listening to... I remember originally when I started listening to Podquisition, I think it was on SoundCloud. That sounds right in my head. Back when... Because I started listening to Podquisition around the time the Switch launched. Back in 2017. That sounds right anyways. Sometime within the first year. Which I know the show has been running longer than that. But, you know. So yeah, I do definitely think podcasts. I'm big into the podcast game, what can I say? And now Cerebrocast I do definitely need to get caught up on. To be fair, I've only listened to like maybe 20 episodes at most. But I do, even though I'm not a big X-Men fan, I do find it just very interesting. And it definitely makes me... Because I've seen a lot... So X-Men 97 came out. I have not watched it either. Because I kind of... So I did not watch X-Men 97 as a kid. Or the original, you know, the 1992 X-Men. I did not watch it when it... I guess I didn't watch it when it released. I did watch it as a kid, but I watched it on reruns in the early 2000s. I caught it on reruns. I don't remember which network it was on. For some reason, I think Disney. But I'll be honest, I kind of don't remember. Yeah, I caught X-Men on reruns. But I definitely didn't catch all of it. Like, if I had to guess, there were like 3 or 4 seasons. And if I had to guess, I did not catch the final season. Like, I couldn't even tell you where oh god, that's 2 triple kills. I couldn't even tell you where I left off. Like, I remember Morph coming back. I definitely know I finished Season 1. That I am 100% confident in. Because I remember Morph coming back. I remember, I know there was some stuff with, Mystique. I remember there's a big thing with Mystique. I want to say I got to the Carol Danvers Rogue stuff. That when they finally do explain that in at some point, but I can't remember when. I don't know. It's been a long time, and if I rewatch it, I'm just going to start from the beginning. And I'm kind of thinking of just restarting X-Men, right? The classic X-Men cartoon and watching it again. Because I did really like that show. Of course, I liked Static Shock and Batman, the animated series, more. But I did like X-Men. And right, I've seen a lot of people talking about, like, rediscovering their love for X-Men with this new X-Men show. And I'm probably going to be in that camp. Probably. I just have to actually watch the show again. So yeah, I'll get around to it. How did we get onto this X-Men topic? I don't know, there was something that got me there. Oh, Cerebrocast, that was it. But yeah, I think that's all we gotta talk about. Because, yeah, I haven't played any other video games, not that I can think of anyways. I haven't seen any movies, I haven't seen any TV shows. Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think that's all we gotta talk about. So I guess that takes us to the outro. It sucks that the one gear I'm working on right now is a shirt. Because that's the one gear we can't level up. Okay, let's stop. So, thoughts on the new Fizzbangs? They're technically not anything amazing. Right? They're basically... I mean, I'm amazed we got a kill with them. Because I feel like they don't do that much damage. But, you know, they're cool enough, I guess. Like, they at least add a little bit more variety to the game, right? I think you get one for getting a kill, so that, you know, more incentivizes getting kills in Splatfests. Are they basically just, like, one step between them and Clam Blitz? Yeah, but I think they're better than Clam Blitz, because Fucking clamblets, man. I hate clamblets. All my homies hate clamblets. Ooh. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me there. That's expensive for basketball. Is that one of those airless balls they keep talking about? I've been seeing people on TikTok try to make those, and they just result in failure every time. So here in the outro, things we gotta talk about. So the Splatoon 2 side order video, it finally came out. I finally got the Splatoon 2 side order video out. Took me, you know, about a month, but I did get it out. It came out today. It's called Splat Art Online. And on top of that, I also released the Splat Art Online opening. I kind of, you know, I basically just used the cutscenes from the side order DLC to create an approximation of the Sword Art Online opening. Set it to the Sword Art Online music. And yeah, you can go watch that on YouTube right now. Everywhere's but Russia. But, you know, who fucking cares about Russia? So yeah, that's up there. There is an edited version that is on TikTok, but that edited version is only 60 seconds. Were these guys... Did they bring these guys back? These guys used to have a message, like they would like have an art in them. I think those guys are back from the previous games. That's cool. So yeah, I put out the splat art. There's a minor version of it on TikTok. For some reason TikTok, I could have a video that gets like 50 likes in like an hour, gets 500 views, is doing really well, and then the second it hits 500 likes, it stops getting views. It's like TikTok will promote a video for 500 views, and that's it. No matter how many likes the video's getting, no matter how many comments the video gets, the second it hits around 5, it's not exactly 500, like, it's usually anywhere from 5 to 700. The second it hits that number, no matter how, you know, many views it gets, TikTok just instantly kills it. So, you know, it hit that, it's at 529 with 61 likes, right? It's gotten that in less than 12 hours. And yeah, the second it hit 500, TikTok immediately just killed it. But, you know, it's sadly an edited down version because I could only post 60 seconds of it on TikTok because of music copyright stuff. But hey, the full thing's up on YouTube and better aspect ratio as well. Yeah, so I'm proud of it. You know, it's not exactly how I pictured it turning out, but, you know, I'm mostly happy with it. It's fucking Sword Art Online. Oh, I do love that. I love this reference. That's a good reference. But yeah, so that's out, you know, the full it's like an hour-long video of me actually doing side order. Just the original stream, right? It's just the original run. I definitely could have shortened it, but I wanted to show the original 7 runs we did, right? I mean, I think run 6 is literally only like 2 clips. The clip of me starting the run and the clip of me ending the run when I die. It might be 3, it might show like my 1 death. Yeah, so I got that up, so you can go watch that, you know, if you missed the original. I got the Splat Art Online opening. Yeah. I did consider playing so Animal Crossing had its 4-year anniversary this week, and I was going to stream Animal Crossing, and I was like, you know what, we'll do a 4-year anniversary stream. You know, it's been, if it wasn't Splatfest tonight, we would have done Animal Crossing tonight. 1000%. But, you know, I was like, you know, let's do it. And then I just got off of work and I was so fucking tired. I worked like a 12-hour day that day. And it was just like, oh my god, I'm so out of it. And then yesterday I was busy. Right, like I said, I was going to go see Ghostbusters and things came up. Yep, things came up, so I couldn't do that. Is there only one of these? No, there's 2. There might be another one over here. Also, didn't these used to have posts on them? Yeah, whatever, it doesn't really matter. So yeah. What's coming up in the future? Like I said, Pokemon, I mentioned that at the beginning. I think we're just going to do a box Pokemon Excel spreadsheet stream. Maybe sometime in the next week. I kind of want to do... sometime before April, I would like to do it. Maybe the 27th? That sounds good to me. So sometime between like the 27th and like the 30th. Definitely before April. So yeah, I do definitely want to get that done. And then like I said, I know Princess Peach Showtime is out. I'm going to play it off stream. I have no intention of streaming it. I just don't care enough. It might be, I don't know. I've heard one of the Goombas I follow on Twitter, I don't think it was Gaijin Goomba, I think it was the other one, said they really loved the game. So it might actually be I think it's sitting on OpenCritic at like a 75, but it might actually be like a really great game. I don't know. I'm curious about it. I'll definitely play it, and we'll talk about it at some point in the future. But yeah, that'll be at some point in the future. This is where we're ending off for tonight. Yeah. And I still have no idea what we're going to do outside of that. Right? I've got no stream plans. That hasn't changed, sadly. Ugh. So I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.